was a while back. It was spring of last year that we started thinking about this, discussing it, and then conceptualizing it. Although the seminar is modeled after Wake Forest, we wanted to do it in a way that would be really beneficial to the students and the collection.
Yeah, sort of uniquely Davidson approach to it, and thinking about what would be most beneficial for students in terms of learning about the way that collections come together, how they make sort of practical decisions about purchasing art and growing an art collection that then is used for teaching purposes.
We've noticed a lot of students saying they're really interested in art and art history, but really hesitant about pursuing it because they don't see a way forward in terms of a career path after graduation. So we wanted to start offering more practical courses in the department that gives them experience, like exhibition and learning how to collect.
I think the other part of it that's interesting to me is even if students don't go into the arts, it gives you a glimpse into collecting. Maybe students will become collectors or supporters of their academic institution's gallery or another institution, right? But just an idea of sort of like what it means to purchase work for yourself or another collection.
Yeah. I gotta be making a lot of money.
Hello. Hi. I'm Annette. I'm Izzy.
I'm Maggie.
I'm Kate.
Hi, my name is Alice Burnt.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, my name is Mignon Franklin.
Hey, I'm Avery.
Hi, I'm Emily Ezel.
I'm Victoria Bakarovic.
Hi, I'm Kat Soltany.
This is Sam Cochran, vlog number 2.
This is the second vlog.
In the beginning of our class, we talked a lot about the history behind museums, the ways in which museums and galleries acquire works of art, and we talked a lot about the art industry.
We've spoken with experts in art conservation and restoration, art law, auctioneering, and exhibition. Through these conversations, I have come to learn a lot about how complex buying and collecting art truly is.
I really appreciate the fact that we can learn from these experts. For example, they told us what is the relationship between museums, galleries, and artists and auction houses, and it really helped us decipher the networks behind that.
We listened to some podcasts that kind of discussed the contemporary art world, and the art market is so unregulated overall, but there are like all these like little things to try to keep it at least somewhat in check.
One part that was really kind of striking is when they talked about how just how arbitrary so much of the pricing is, and how much the art market kind of functions on both a monetary and an interpersonal level. That really shocked me because it's well, then why are they so dang expensive?
It needs to be said that because we are working within the framework of an educational institution, we have a duty to acquire works that are impactful and bring to campus a narrative that is yet to be reflected in the artwork we possess.
The current art industry is based on whiteness and capitalism, and the bar is set so high that a lot of people simply do not have the privilege to enter this market and change it, and a lot of artistic expressions were simply muted in the mainstream art scene.
That necessitates having art that explores a multitude of perspectives and a multitude of narratives so everyone can feel included.
In our presentations, we learned about museum DEAI initiatives, kind of what they're doing to further diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion.
My group did Follow the Money, talking a lot about institution funding.
Now, institutions are being held a lot more accountable. In that also, the repatriation sort of debate has come back up because there are now, a lot more people that are understanding that it exists.
Because repatriation, in many instances, does not have a lot of laws, that places the burden of responsibility on the galleries, meaning that we can judge their own conduct based on how they have handled past matters.
I think that museums, their kind of status in society as these like really important kind of all-knowing cultural institutions meant that a lot of the issues with it were kind of overlooked, and more recently people have been like, wait a second, that's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little anxious going forward because it's going to be so hard to narrow things down.
This might be a little idealistic of me. Whenever I've been thinking about like what artist to choose, I try and think of, is this an artist that I would want to be more like? You know, being forward thinking, critical, but human as well. You know, they talk a lot about their own personal experiences.
It's hard because we are working with in a budget as well.
With a $25,000 budget and over 10 people in the class, I felt like it could be difficult for us all to decide upon works of art.
And I know that some of the works that we've looked at so far have been really out of our price range.
Out of our price range.
Way out of our budget.
Oppositely, I think there were also some artists that we found were surprisingly not as expensive as we expected.
So at the beginning of the class, we all thought like, oh, maybe like let's just get one piece. I think we're actually gonna be able to get a few pieces.
But with the opportunity of getting more than one piece, we have to think a lot about compromise since we're so many people. There's definitely going to have to be some degree of compromises that happen.
That's when I kind of fell back on the rubric and I started to think about the mission of the gallery and how well the piece fills the gaps in the gallery. Diversity.
We've talked about how we want to increase diversity and also been focusing on the usefulness of the artwork.
This one we felt was more important, and it was one that we discussed in greater detail when we were building this rubric.
We found that there's a ton of other departments that a lot of these pieces fit into, for example, history, environmental science, Africana studies, and economics. So we're really trying to find a piece that can be used in other departments other than just the studio art department and the art history department.
And kind of similar to that, if the artwork can engage an audience or provoke conversation, I think it's especially important that we select an artwork that encourages conversation and dialogue rather than just something to look at.
I think there's something really valuable in being able to see like documented experience, and like having art as a way to do that. And
I personally found Gabby and Hillary to be an immense help to the entire process.
I really appreciated the chance to see both a working gallery but also a local Charlotte gallery. It was really nice to see like how that process goes, both with just a gallery in general, but especially with a local gallery.
Going to the SOCO Gallery this week was a great test run right before our trip to New York, so now we know what to expect when we arrive.
My favorite part of our visit to the SOCO Gallery was when the gallerists explained how they price their pieces. Usually they work in conjunction with the artists, and they always want to make sure that their prices are on an upward trajectory.
Let's talk about New York.
New York.
New York.
New York.
New York.
New York City.
Crazy whirlwind of the New York trip we just had. Let's dive right in.
Thursday and Friday were our 2 big days.
On Thursday, the first gallery that we went to was Sundaram Tagore. And at this gallery, we saw pieces from Anila Aga. We got to see 2 of her cutout pieces.
I loved the colors in the works. I loved the intricate beading. I loved the cutouts for the papers. It was just really cool to see in person.
I wouldn't say transformational, but I would say awe-inspiring.
Next, we went to Paste Prints.
While we ended up not getting anything from Paste Prints, it was really cool to get to visit there and to hear about their mission. The people working there really wanted to embody that mission, kind of deconstructing sort of the elitism around some of the collecting practices and stuff that we researched at the beginning of this semester.
Afterwards, we went to the Listen Gallery.
Grace Leonard from the class of 2017 works there, so she very kindly showed us around, gave us a little tour.
It was also helpful meeting with Grace at the Listen Gallery, especially because she graduated from Davidson, and just being able to see what she did after graduation with her Davidson degree. That insight into how the industry works will help me in the future.
Next, we went to the Susan Inglet Gallery, which I was very excited about because I had been communicating with Susan herself, who came to the gallery and showed us around and pulled out 2 William Villalongo pieces. It seemed like the first time that we were all really excited about a piece.
Villalongo piece was among my personal favorites.
I fell in love with his works when we walked in.
Just all of the kind of symbolism that he includes in his works, I think, would provoke interesting conversations on campus.
And our last visit of the day was to Field Projects, where we had the unique opportunity to actually speak with Johanna Herr.
Visiting her exhibition was probably my favorite part of the trip. Overall, that exhibit, I was really impressed by the research and thought that went into each piece and just the general space.
On Friday, we visited the James Cohen Gallery, where we got to see some really interesting works by Tuan Andrew Nguyen.
We watched a snippet from a short film that he created about the American dropping of bombs in Vietnam. There was one piece that really stuck out to me. It was this giant sculpture with a bunch of mirrors on it, and you could touch it with a little pole and it would make this great frequency sound. His work is incredible. Shout out to Sarah, who introduced us to him.
And then we went to Sergeant's Daughters. This was another great experience. The gallerists were very welcoming.
At Sergeant's Daughters, we get to have really great conversations about 2 artists. The first was an emerging artist, Cielo Felix Hernandez, and it was just really great to see her work in person. And then we also got to talk about Wendy Red Star.
There was one really great piece
called The Last Things.
She talked a lot about the indigenous experience in the United States.
And finally, we went to the Opera Gallery, where we saw prints from Wang Wang Yi. This gallery was very different from the others. It felt very, very commercial.
When the gallerist pulled the 2 works he was showing us, I was shocked by how vibrant the colors were. It was really great to see them in person.
There were some heated discussions, I will say.
Of course, being a class of 12 students, we would all be drawn to different pieces of art.
We ended up with a piece of Joanna Herr's Blackout Poetry. The William Villalongo piece, Float Like a Butterfly, Sting Like a Bee.
In The Last Things by Wendy Red Star.
I'd say it was an overall positive experience.
I would say that it was also really rewarding and really fruitful too.
I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity to go to New York and buy a piece for the permanent collection.
Really had this bonding experience of a trip, and I'm just really excited about how things turned out.
I got a lot of time to talk with the donor, which I really enjoyed.
It was cool that we got to meet the donor.
I enjoyed his company, learning about his work and his art interests. I think that it was really nice that he took the time to come with us and get to know us a little bit.
I appreciate how he tried to stay impartial.
I'm so thankful to Joe, our donor, who supported us in being able to take this trip and buy this art.
So thank you so much to Joe Logan from the class of 77 for his very generous donation, making our entire class possible.
And I'm also so thankful for Leah and Dr. Keogh.
Shout out to Dr. Keogh and Leah, because y'all did a fantastic job. Thank you so much for the work that you all put in and putting up with us.
For putting this course together and for all the hard work they've done in making this a really great educational experience.
Thank you so much, professors. We're so grateful.